Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, Let's Eat Food. This was going to be like a food YouTube channel, but I changed my mind. But we're eating knowledge. We're eating knowledge and wisdom. We're sharing information, wisdom, details. It's an exchange of services. Today, I want to discuss how emotions are processed, reprimands, mistakes, and accountability. And please like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you all that did subscribe. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. But I want to talk about emotions first because I have big emotions. Not all the time, but I'm working on validating myself and accepting myself for who I am, regardless of the mistakes that I have made. Coming from a system, more so systemic oppression, systemic racism. Everything that has to do with the 9 to 5, with working under Bob, Tom, and Harry, and Susie, and Jessica, and Karen. Most people will understand where I'm coming from whenever I'm talking about being reprimanded for making a mistake. I am so used to being cast aside or being thrown to the wolves over something minor. Whenever we make a mistake, and no, I'm not blaming the system or anything like that, but we're going to get into that later, so just listen. Whenever mistakes are made, it is very, very, very important to validate yourself, to know that you are not perfect, and that you will make mistakes very often, and mistakes are just lessons for you to grow from. Just look at those moments as an opportunity for you to grow. Don't look at those opportunities of growth as a way to self-sabotage or for your ego to take over, because I know most times, even myself and other people will resort to things that are familiar with their coping mechanisms. Not just smoking, drinking, and all that. Duh. Who don't smoke and drink? But some people don't. Most people do. But people have this ego, which is like their voice inside of their heads telling them, well, this is familiar for you to do whenever you do something wrong, so let's engage with it again, or let's open this can of worms, or let's spill the beans, and that just leads to you engaging with yourself and feeding into the self-sabotaging behavior. I know it may be a challenge with staying positive after making a mistake. And no, not all mistakes have to be negative. Not all mistakes have to be negative. Not all mistakes have to be bad. Not all mistakes have to be tragic. We just make it big. We just turn it into something that's so huge because we're not used to dealing with the emotions that come after making a mistake. Most of us might have, I don't know, burnt down their house, or like for me, for instance. I made a conscious mistake of getting my car repossessed. Okay, that was a conscious mistake that I've made, and I can only take accountability for my car being repossessed because I didn't pay the car note. I remember that time where my car started getting towed more often at my apartment complex. And it was for something like, oh, you double parked, or you parked in a handicapped space, you know, things like that you're aware of that you know that you're not supposed to do because it's the law, and they'll tow your car. So during that time, I was making conscious decisions and mistakes that I knew that I was aware of, but I just kept repeating them because it was the entitlement, the sense of entitlement, but I didn't have a sense of responsibility or nor accountability. But whenever that situation happened, I had to rack up, stack up, wait to payday to get my car out the impound. You got to play the waiting game, and you got to find out about the bus system. I mean, it was just something new in that moment for me to learn from, and I'm happy that I learned from it. Without my car being repossessed, I would not ever known about the bus system in Dallas. I wouldn't have never known about the train. I got used to taking the train. I could even take the train to work. Hell, that was pretty cheap. Shit, back then you could pay $25 a week and take the train to and from wherever you need to go. I don't know what the cost is now. It might be $100. The way things are going now in the United States of America. But in that moment of making that mistake of getting my car repossessed, consciously knowing that, I learned something very valuable. You know, worshiping material possessions in your life can really get you caught up with the American dream. Thinking that you can't do without the car, thinking that you can't do without your apartment for a couple of days or maybe a couple of weeks. Just worshiping these things and putting all our eggs into one basket by investing all that we have into our material possessions can really have some risk. It can really have some risk. Thinking that you got it all together, thinking that you can come up or one up on someone that you dislike. I'm just saying all those things I've done before, I've experienced. The backfire was real. The karma was real. The lessons in that moment was real, and I'm able to talk about it without feeling sensitive about the mistakes I have made in the past. I learned from it, and I can also teach others how to process those emotions or what steps that they can take to regain their conscience, to regain their life. I even helped a friend at a time that her car was repossessed, and I think she lost her apartment at the time as well. And whenever you have community and whenever you have people that understand, it's easier to accept accountability. It really is. You learn from each other, you give and take. It's a give and take. Don't always take, but learn how to give as well as you receive. So accountability, the systemic oppression. So I was put into a position where, and I prayed for it, I did. You gotta be careful what you pray for because you don't know what you're getting into. But I was a social worker at a nursing home. During the pandemia, during the paranormal activity. Anyways, yes, I was a social worker at a nursing home, and I was hired under the circumstances of not being licensed. License and degrees don't even matter anymore. Just saying, it don't even matter. Um, but in this case, it mattered after a year of them firing me from the nursing home. I didn't even apply for unemployment because I'm like, look, I don't want to go through that process of you having to call them folks and they won't even answer the phone. They don't even answer the phone for the families that do call and check up on their loved ones at the nursing home. So I was tired. I was just tired of the whole thing. I just wanted to get out of the system because I knew they was going to fire me anyways. That's just how my anxiety and intuition works together, and I'm happy that I have a strong intuition. Anyways, I was a social worker in a nursing home, and I prayed for that position. Thank God I held it down for a year, and the only reason that they had to fire me is because I was not licensed. Boom. But I held that position down, boo. Anyways, anyways, um, but that was planned because Tammy boo, her fat ass, anyways, was trying to hire a white social worker because I was the black one, and she fired the black maintenance whatever man. Then she wanted to fire the black. It just kept replacing itself. Anyways, that's not the route that I wanted to go down. But, whenever you are sitting in those very, how can I say it, very prominent professional positions and titles, and you're holding those types of responsibilities with those titles, the mistakes increase, the responsibilities increase, and there was less and less accountability. No one ever teaches you about accountability, but they love to throw responsibilities at you. People in those positions that are able to teach you about accountability along with giving you all those responsibilities, they see it coming. They already had it planned that, okay, if she make these amount of mistakes, then we can just cancel her out. We don't need the nigga no more. We don't need her anymore. Just keep letting her make mistakes without correcting her, and then she won't even have a reason to even be here. Boom. So I'm aware of, and these might be just, I don't know, they might have said shit like this, but I know people that have done this in the workplace, and it is most common, excuse me, and it is most common in workplaces where black people, I'm not going to say people of color, there's no such thing as people of color. Stop. Just stop that. Please stop. But there is a such thing as letting black people make the mistakes as they go and not correcting them in the process. It can be your own co-workers. It can be your own black folks that's looking at you making the mistake and they won't even correct you in the process. I don't respect people like that at all. I don't. People that sit and watch you trip and fall and not even help you up. You just wanted them to, Craig. Oh, really? Okay. You wanted them too. You are one of them too. You one of them slave owners too. Anyways, so that's where my emotions stem from as well, thinking that just because you make a mistake, you're not worthy of holding down the position anymore. And I don't like to develop feelings of fear around scenarios of that matter in which that in the past that has happened, but I like to be hopeful in that I can learn from this situation and correct it the next time around as I get better at doing it and practicing, what it is that I need to be doing to better myself. So I would just like to affirm myself by saying that mistakes will happen. You're not perfect. You're only human. Only God is perfect. I mean, you're only perfect in the eyes of God as well. You can learn from those lessons that come in the moment. That come in the moment of those opportunities of occurring. Um, be hopeful and practice what you preach. Practice, 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 but don't overdo it. Don't overdo it just because you feel like, you're not worthy of whatever you think you're not worthy of. You are worthy. You matter. You are a prized possession. Be honest, develop trust, love yourself, and be patient. Whew, I have to practice that too. Be patient with myself. If you find yourself being emotional, let it out. Don't hold it in. Process your emotions, learn from it, and don't take all the blame. That's another thing we need to talk about. Do not take all of the blame. Everything is not your fault. There's another baggage you need to unload, drop, and burn. Everything is not your fault. Okay? Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like, share, and comment down below. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. I will see you and talk to you next time.